Hey everybody, this is Jim Grisanzio from the Oracle Groundbreakers team, and we're here in Stockholm, Sweden for Jfokus, a big Java conference here, and I'm here with Jesper Wilhelmsson. Jesper, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So how close was I on your name?
Close enough. Wilhelmsson.
It is close enough. For me, it's close enough. So I'm having lots of conversations here with particularly actually a lot of the Oracle developers from the local office here, because I don't get here very often. Obviously, this is my first time, so I wanted to meet a lot of you guys, get you on camera and have some conversations about what you do in the community, at work, at Oracle, and several people said I should talk to you. So yeah, cool. What do you do?
So I have several different roles, really. I guess one of the more noticeable ones is that I'm the gatekeeper for the JDK. So basically handling integrations and making sure that we keep good quality throughout the release, basically.
So gatekeeper, in terms of like integrating code into such a large engineering team, that seems to be a pretty central role, yes?
Yeah, I guess it is, yes. So I'm basically handling integrations, as I said. So for right now, for instance, we're in the ramp down of JDK 14. So any changes that goes into JDK 14 needs to also make it into the mainline JDK 15 branch where we do future developments. So I'm handling that, moving changes over there, keeping track of test results to make sure that we have like high quality throughout, and if something breaks, it's basically I need to make sure that we back things out or fix bugs in reasonable time. We can't really have the test infrastructure being down for, well, I was about to say days, but that's absolutely not okay. So it really has to be working like within hours. So if someone makes a change that caused the build to break, for instance, we need to back that out and make sure that it works within a couple of hours.
So I wonder, in terms of the integration processes that you go through on the engineering side, has that changed at all with the new release cycle of Java?
Yes, definitely. We have developed a much smoother process to make sure that everything runs very smoothly now. So since we do it once every 6 months, we've been quite successful recently. Well, the last couple of releases at least. So.
Well, I mean, I've spoken to several people about this, and I mean, I thought that the movement from the old development methodology to this, in terms of sequence every 6 months, that was a serious undertaking. But people said in general it went well.
Yeah, I think it did. So in terms of integrations, before we moved to this release cycle, the downtime before each release could be like up to a week. I mean, there were at least several days where the repositories were locked down and people couldn't make any changes because we had to move stuff between different repositories and merge everything. Now we do complete the fork and these integrations. The fork happens over a couple of hours and there's no downtime at all, so people can just continue to push their changes as usual while we do it. And the merges, the integrations between different repositories, I do that on a daily basis. So there's really...
So you guys seem pretty happy with the new way of doing things then in terms of the 6 months?
Yeah. So I think that one of the main benefits with the 6-month release is that no one has to worry about when something is going to make it into the code base. So before, when we did like just release every 3 or 4 years, if you were working on a change and you were like cutting it close to the deadlines, there was a lot of pressure. You had to get done in time, because otherwise there would be like 4 years till the next chance. You had to deliver your stuff. Now that all that pressure is gone completely, no one worries about it at all, because if you don't make it for this release, well, the next one is just 6 months away. So
it's not long. So since you're based here, I assume you come to this conference every year?
Yeah, I've been here for a couple of years at least, so I usually try to attend and make sure to meet people, talk to everyone.
Have you noticed any changes the last couple of years?
You mean in this conference?
I mean, has it always been this size? It's a pretty big event. It's almost 2,000 people here.
Yeah, at least the years I've been here, it's been basically the same size. I think there has been a little bit more people. At least I noticed in the evening events. For instance, yesterday there were more people around than usual. I think.
The food here is fantastic. The lunches and the dinners is just really incredible. I've never been to a conference where everybody gets. Usually, it's the speakers get the good meals and stuff. No. All 2,000 people here are getting phenomenal meals.
Yeah. It's an amazing event.
Yeah, and it's like as you were saying, last night's dinner. It was like a multi-hour because you had dinner and then it went into a party after that. I had to go back to bed. I mean, it was just too late for me. But these guys are still over there tweeting, and it's like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I took the midnight train home myself. So.
Cool. All right, so you've been here for a couple of days now. Today's the last day,
Yep.
And I'm wondering what your observations are about this particular event. Maybe because you've been in the booth having conversation with developers and stuff. What are people talking about this year?
There's a... Well, what do people talk about? That's a very good question. Actually, people don't go to the booths very much, I'd say. So, we do try to get out and talk to people. So my main interest really is to know what version of Java is people using out there. It seems that a lot of people are still on Java 8, which I think is a little bit unfortunate, but I do realize that it's a major task to upgrade when you have a lot of dependencies on third-party libraries and stuff like that. But just trying to make sure that people realize that it's not really that big a thing to upgrade. So if just make sure that your own code works with the module systems changes in Java 9. And there are tools. We provide tools to just check your code so you can use something like JDK or anything like that. So you just check that.
So upgrading is not as challenging as it sounds. I'm talking about for large enterprises.
It shouldn't be. No, I don't think it is. But again, if you depend on some third-party library and they don't support anything higher than Java 8, well, obviously that's a problem. So I think that just make sure that all the libraries are up to date. That's probably the biggest challenge.
So do you get out to other events as well?
I do, yes. So actually one of my other roles here at Oracle in Sweden is that I have a lot of contacts with universities. Right, so we go to university work fairs and meet a lot of students and try to make sure that everyone knows that Oracle actually do have a development office here in Stockholm. So
it's really good. I did a lot of university work at Sun when I was on the Open Solaris project, and it was really cool because the people are very young, certainly a lot younger than me, and they have a whole different way of thinking. It's an entirely new generation. So it's good to hear you get out to the universities, because in my current job I don't go to universities, so I kind of miss that work. So what's it like when you go there?
Well, it's actually really fun these days. When we started going out to universities, people didn't really know what Oracle was. They knew about Java, of course, because they used Java in their teaching and everything, but they didn't know that Oracle was actually responsible for Java. They didn't know what Oracle was doing at all. But after a couple of years, when we came back every year to the same work fairs, people started to recognize us. And now everyone knows what Oracle is and how we work with Java and open source and everything. And we actually meet students who is coming back year after year and is now about to graduate and do their master thesis work. And since we know them from several years back, and we have been able to guide them in selecting the right courses, like reading up on the right subjects, they are now perfect fit to actually do their master thesis work with us in the development office. So we have students that have actually been preparing for their master thesis for years. So they are a perfect fit for working in the Oracle office.
It's the perfect recruiting mechanism, because it's only it's only 3 or 4 years in college, right? It's not that much of an investment, especially if you're local and you go into local universities, and they learn so much in just a very, very small amount of time. It's also a great place to start user groups,
Yeah.
because they're really, really enthusiastic about getting involved, particularly with open source as well, because that's where they can contribute.
Yeah, that's one of the main benefits that we have. So even if someone is not looking for a job right now, we can just say that, well, have a look at OpenJDK, look in the bug database, see if you can find something, some little thing that you can actually contribute and fix, and be active in the mailing lists. And then in like 4 years or whenever, when you come to us and say, hey, I want a job, then we already know who you are, because you've been active in the mailing lists. You have already an OpenJDK username, you have already fixed a number of bugs. Well, basically you're already hired.
Exactly. And there's this concept with engineers that I find fascinating, is this sort of like a natural mentoring process.
Yes. So if you engage in the mailing list, there's a good chance that you will get help and get answers to your questions, or get feedback on your fixes, or whatever you try to engage in. So.
And you, as a gatekeeper, certainly understand. Like when you get a new hire or something, you just don't. You give them the keys to the gate and say, "Knock yourself out." There's a certain enculturization process that takes place, right? That's very, very, very important.
It is, yes, absolutely. So, yeah.
All right, Jesper, thank you very much for talking. It's a pleasure. Pleasure to meet you here today and to have some of these conversations, particularly about the universities, because I used to love that work. So maybe I'll see you again next year?
Yeah,
probably. Cool. All right. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye now.